what were you doing before the pandemic in this space as you have kind of the next evolution of this third-party risk management side of things as we've had the biggest disruptions in supply chain probably in history?
So prior to the pandemic, it was still a problem. So what we found is that the number of firms that a company works with, right, a number of vendors, partners, etc., is higher than the number of employees that a company has. So it's just like a web of companies that comes together to provide a service or a product, right? And there are always new challenges in working with supply chains. So I don't know if you remember the whole GDPR thing, which is related to privacy, right? So there were a ton of privacy challenges prior to the pandemic. And then prior to that, it was, of course, information security. And then prior to that was just globalization and sort of some of the problems related to anti-corruption, anti-bribery, all the compliance. So, now, of course, the supply chain disruptions during the pandemic. Going forward, we see a massive I think, change in supply chains caused due to this emphasis on sustainability, right? So ESG is becoming a massive sort of push for companies. So, this is a complicated area, David, and we're very happy to make an impact in this.
How do you, the quality, the success of any business is predicated on the quality of the relationships that are a part of that business.
That's right.
And if the relationships are working well, you got a pretty good shot at being successful. But not a lot of people will take any time to pay attention to the qualitative nature of relationships. They've just got a relationship and it's just what it is. How are you setting your platform up so that the qualitative nature of those relationships are actually front and center?
Every firm initially will try to manage all the, of course, first the compliance and the regulatory stuff, right? And then the quantitative stuff, right? Which is, what's the score for infosec risks and privacy risks, etc., right? But the qualitative stuff is where the real value is, right? Mm-hmm. And most firms aren't able to do that well at all. So the way we are approaching it is, once an organization creates this network between them and their vendors and partners, then, I'm a software guy, right? So what we are able to create is different apps on top of the network. So one of those apps is what we call performance management, which is pretty similar to an internal Yelp. So in that case, you can actually gather the qualitative aspects of the relationship between your firm and your vendors and your partners and make that available just within your firm, right? So you can just improve how you work with them. So it's similar to the way you manage your people, taking that to your vendors as well, because, the amount of money spent on the vendors is higher, the amount of number of vendors is higher, and the risk, just because of the amount of data, et cetera, that you share with your vendors now is higher.